Welcome to Whispers to a Bride, where we talk about the stuff no one else is talking about. We are going deep on the emotional aspects of getting married, the stress, drama, and turbulence that affects your own sense of identity and your closest relationships. We are talking about what it means to be a bride and how to navigate this sacred time with more grace and ease. I'm your host, Kara Gassabay. As a life coach and therapist, I'm going to be sharing super practical tips so that you can not only rise to the occasion of your wedding, but also your life. Hello, and welcome back to Whispers to a Bride. I am your host, Kara Gassabay, and this week we are talking all about your wedding wake-up call. So before we jump into today's topic, I just cannot fail to mention, we are 73 episodes in. For those of you who have been binging and listening and catching up as your wedding is approaching, thank you so much. I love getting the DMs and the reviews and hearing how much this podcast is helping you. I love hearing from you on my Q&A Monday Instagram. I love seeing you on TikTok. And I just want to say, I am giving you everything I know to make this journey more graceful, more full of ease and meaning and intention. That is my mission for you. Sometimes my friends are like, you need to really explain that the best way that I can really serve you and really change how you experience this time in your life, really help you problem solve, help you strategize, is through my one-on-one sessions. And so you can book a call, just me and you, 1 hour. It's called a bridal session. And we unpack what's going on. What do you need help with? What are you worried about? What are you unsure about? What do you want to prepare for? It can go any direction, lots of directions, or just one topic. And I'm just telling you, there is something to giving yourself the gift of this space. It is a sacred time that you're carving out for yourself to get really still and really quiet and get in touch with your own guidance and wisdom and deepest sense of what you want and what you're hoping for, what you're yearning for, what you're trying to do, the parts of the whole thing that have gotten lost that we can find. There's just so much true richness that can happen in a bridal session. And the cool thing is that will stick with you after your wedding day. So many of the other things you can't really keep, but the wisdom and the insight and the strategy that you get during our bridal session together, that will fortify you, strengthen you, help you in this next chapter of being married. And that is the cool part. So again, I'm going to give you everything I can give you in these sort of other ways, but only when we sort of dive into your specific issue can you really get what you need most from me and my work and from you and your own wisdom. So if you are thinking about it, but you're not sure about is this for me or what, it's for everyone. When I say it's for, it's literally for every person who is engaged and having any of the feelings, right? I can help you being able to receive joy and love and attention, to just being able to handle your mother on your wedding day. And everything in between, the friendship dramas, and just there's so much, and you deserve all of this and more, but at least this hour. So hopefully I have clarified and sort of given you a little bit more insight and depth to what those calls are really all about. And basically, this week's episode is I'm going to go through sort of why you might end up working with me, because I think for so many people, your wedding is a wake-up call. I love to think about things in terms of metaphors, and I also like alliteration. So your wedding is a wake-up call is just a great thing to lean into, and just a question to ask yourself, and sort of a framework to keep in mind as you are on this journey. I feel like being engaged and planning a wedding is a super powerful time. There's so much going on, as we have talked about in so many of these episodes. Just there's so many things that come at you, and it's kind of like all at once. And it's just so many times during your wedding, things are going to come up, and it's like, oh, that's a wake up call. Like, I was just talking to someone who felt like they had gone through their wedding experience, and they just like sort of, it was like a wake up call to them that like they're in the wrong industry, that they're in love with like the wedding industry, and now they want to pivot their entire career and like do that, right? That was sort of a wake up call. They were like, I didn't even realize how unhappy I was or how I was meant to be in this other place career wise until I went through this experience, right? What a cool way that her wedding was a wake up call. For other people, it is, in a similar way to the career thing. It's a wake up call to the art and beauty and ceremony, right? This is the time in your life where you really get to figure out how to make a day and an occasion really special, how to infuse an event with your personality and your spirit and your just highest ideals of what celebration and love and gathering are really about. And when you're looking at music and venues and flowers and decor, and you're looking at creating a ceremony, whether you're going to a church or you're creating something on your own, which I love helping couples do that. It's just a really cool thing that sort of awakens for a lot of people, like, wow, sometimes we get in this, like, get in our grind of our job and, working out and friends. And like, we sort of lose touch with like that beauty and artistry and ceremony and all of the stuff that like the stuff of weddings can really sort of be your wake up call back to your creativity and your spirituality and your love of ritual and ceremony, right? It can be a cool wake up call in that way, and like the ways in which those things are missing from your life, and makes you want to be like, wow, I really want to do some more spiritual or religious kind of ceremonies and practices, and I want to do more celebrating, or I want to do more hosting, I want to do more decorating, I want to incorporate music in my life in a different way, I want to have fresh flowers in my house, I want to care about food in a different way. Like, there's just so many cool ways that it's sort of, your wedding can be a wake up call to like appreciating those beautiful artistic parts of life. And for other people, their wedding is a wake up call to like old patterns, right? Old ways of operating in our relationships that maybe don't serve them anymore, right? I've had a lot of clients who are like, their perfectionism or their people pleasing like really comes to a head during wedding planning, and it just like hits that boiling point, that tipping point where it's like, something's got to change, right? It's like the wedding was the impetus, the catalyst for the change. They're like, I've been able to get through like the schooling and the work world and the dating scene operating in this way, but now with the wedding on top of all of that, it's like, boom, the house has crashed, and now we need to rebuild with a different blueprint that is not based on other people's opinions and trying to get everything right. We got to do it from the inside out. What do I want? What matters to me? What are my priorities? What are my values? What do I care about? So it's like waking you up to your own inner voice and your own inner wisdom and your own sort of guidance system. Wedding is a great way to do it. And related to that is, some people really experience their wedding as a wake-up call to like how much they just are following trends, right? Whether it's trends that are on social media or just doing what their friends are all doing and feeling like the keeping up with the Joneses. And a lot of times it's like, oh, everybody's buying the sweater. I can buy the sweater. Everyone goes to this bar. We can go to this bar. Everyone's making this recipe from TikTok, the internet, like we'll make it, like, right? Sometimes we all are doing things because like that's sort of like the group think and the like crowd sourced way of living sometimes that happens right now, which again, it's not problematic, but because these stakes are so high, it happens once for most people in their life, or it's so expensive and it's causing so many conversation, it's taking so much effort and time, and it really can make you wake up like, wow, do I want to spend all this money and do it this way just because that's like what my sorority sisters did? Or is like my situation, my life, my instincts, my family, my fiance, calling me to just do it differently, right? So it's like, again, that idea of like waking up to your own circumstances, your own reality, and your own proclivities and propensities and like inclinations instead of just, okay, what's everybody else doing, right? It's very natural to look around and want to do what people do. And, being traditional, because that can be a really elegant, nice way to do it if that feels good to you. But again, waking up to like, why am I doing it this way? Does it feel really good to me? Does it feel like the best course of action? That's a way to wake up that will then serve you, right? Because once you've woken up in your wedding planning that way, you'll start to look at like your wardrobe, your career, like all of your other things that you are engaged in. You'll do it with a little bit, eyes wider open, maybe. For some people, it is a wake up call to those problematic friendships. I cannot tell you how many people, especially on TikTok, come out and they're like, all my friends are gone. I maybe knew that there were some problems with the friendships and like they were one-sided or this or that or toxic or just we had grown apart. But like it wasn't until the wedding planning that that was like sort of the straw that broke the camel's back, right? The trying to plan the bachelorette party, the trying to get everybody to buy the same dress, to try to like do shower, like all of those traditions and the ideas of what they should be like, what they should feel like, and then the reality of that sort of hitting really differently so many times can just have us waking up to like, hold on. Are these friends the friends that I want to take into the next chapter? Can these friendships, right? Do they have the sort of infrastructure to carry us through? Are we willing to put in the work in the cases that they don't to reshape them and reorient them? And that stuff is hard. And it takes both people wanting to try and having the same vision for going forward. And a lot of times it just doesn't happen that way. And our wedding sort of wakes us up to something we probably knew at some level. I mean, this definitely happened with me. It was like at some level, like I knew, but there was nothing to sort of push and sort of necessitate that wake up until the wedding came. And then it was like kind of that bright light, right? It's like someone turns on the light when you're asleep and you're just like, okay, I'm awake now. I could see it. And now I sort of can't unsee it. And so then you have to sort of deal with it. And the friendships can fall apart and it can be really hard. And that's one of those ones that people often will come and schedule a session with me to sort of just figure out how to walk through that painful period during what is in their mind supposed to be a very celebratory and bringing all your people together from all your walks of life. It's very sort of jarring and unexpected to be losing close people during this time. For others, it's a wake-up call to those tricky family dynamics that we all sort of have, and maybe they always go on in the background. It's just how things are. You're so used to it that you don't even see it until boom, it's a wedding, and like there's places for each family member and roles and responsibilities and things that are expected. And when it's your family it's not easy, or there's all these sort of rough spots, it can really awaken your perspective to like, wow, what is going on with my family? What are these dynamics that I don't necessarily want to bring into my marriage? And what are the ones I no longer want to facilitate in my own interaction with my family? It's a time I've talked about before of like, you can restructure some of these relationships with your family. And again, I'm not saying any of this is easy or simple, but it can be a part of, wow, my wedding, it's like a big wake up call to like, my parents don't support me in the way that I really hoped that they would, or they really are expecting something different than I ever thought they would, or the values are really different in a way that I never really noticed because maybe it had been slowly evolving over time. And I'm telling you, the wedding just brings up all this stuff. And it can also, speaking of the family part, weddings can also wake you up to like old hurts and losses. If you've got some grief in there from losing a loved one, a family member, a sibling, a parent, anyone that you've loved and has been a part of your life, like your wedding, anyone that you imagine maybe being at your wedding that isn't there because they've passed away, like your wedding is going to wake you up to a grief that maybe you thought you had dealt with and that you had handled and that wasn't going to come back again in this intense way. And then boom, there it is. So again, it's so many different ways. And last but not least, it's a wake-up call to your own relationship. We have talked about this. You know what I think. I really feel like this time of being engaged is about taking another look, putting that relationship under a microscope. That's going to happen no matter what. Planning this wedding together, having the families involved or not involved, the friends' opinions or not, whatever's going on. It's a lot. Your relationship will be put through the ringer, and it's a great time to reassess and reconfirm and recommit, or push pause and take another path. So it can really be a wake-up call, like, wow, I thought we were good. Our dating life was good. That arrangement works. But wow, this engaged/married thing seems like it's giving a whole different flavor to our relationship and what's going on and how it's going to work. So the bottom line is just try to stay awake to the process. Let your wedding be a wake-up call. Watch yourself. Be awake and alert and aware of your own patterns. Watch how you make decisions, how you spend your money, how you want to celebrate things, how you problem solve, how you share big news, how you gather with people, how you invite people in or keep people out. Just watch how you do things. Try not to numb out to just what you think you're supposed to do, the movies you've seen, the social media you've consumed, the advertising that's coming at you, the things you think you're supposed to want because you're not truly awake to like your own inner desires and instincts and inclinations. If you're just following the trends of what your friends are doing, your parents want, what you thought you wanted when you were younger, like this is the time to wake up to your own inner knowing. And that is the cool thing. Even though it's like not always fun, definitely not always easy to be having like some sort of wake up call during your wedding, it really in the end is almost always in your highest service, bringing you to a higher place in your life in terms of alignment with who you are, who you want to be, your next chapter, this next phase. Like it's bringing you more into alignment, you know, in your whole life. So let your wedding be a wake up call. If you need help understanding, figuring out the message, figuring out what the heck to do with some of these thoughts and feelings, like I said, reach out for a bridal session. This is an hour that can change everything. And in the meantime, tell a friend. If you've got a friend who is also a bride, tell her about this podcast. And don't forget to get my book, Whispers to a Bride, available on Amazon. And until next time, I am wishing you nothing but bridal bliss.